Welcome back to another fun and interesting video book review. I, of course, am the artist formerly known as Tyra Banks. Not true. I'm John Lee. Welcome back, and today we are talking about Open by Andre Agassi. This is one of my all-time favorite books, and I absolutely believe that this is not just the best sports book I've ever read, but the best autobiography I've ever read. And the reason for that is because when you read most sports autobiographies, they're very paint by numbers. Either the athlete had a great childhood where everything was perfect, often with Christian values, or they had a broken home and the sport was kind of their respite from their bad home. Then they achieve, and then they build their own family. Maybe they have some setbacks if they're publicly known, and then they learn how to be a leader of men and all this successful stuff. This book is not like that at all. On the very first page, Andre Agassi reveals that he hates tennis, and then he goes deep and vulnerable in a way that makes the title Open extremely valid. This is a deep dive and a look at a person who was super famous, super misunderstood, and kind of didn't really get the chance to ever, during his career, describe what his life was actually like. And when he got that chance in this book, which I think came out around 2007 or 2008, like right after he retired, he really just bled onto the page, man. It's really, you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll read things that you never would think that a guy who had the world by the balls and was married to Brooke Shields was thinking. It's honestly an amazing book, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. I can't even really describe to you how great it is, other than to tell you it's unlike anything you've ever read if you read sports books or autobiographies. I always confuse biography and autobiography. Andre wrote it, or worked with a ghostwriter, so it's an autobiography. Let's get into my three big takeaways. Takeaway number one. Perfectionism is easy, but bad. So I think one of the things that was really interesting to me in this book, as someone who is a bit of a perfectionist, was that the turning point in Andre's career, where he went from kind of being an underachiever, the guy who could never get it done, a Charles Barkley or Karl Malone type dude, to being one of only a few guys to ever win all 4 Grand Slams, was when he started working with this guy Brad, who was a retired pro, who was kind of a grinder. And Brad sat down with him over Bud Ice, which was all Brad would drink, and explained to him that he's always trying to hit the perfect shot. You know, tennis is not perfect. You got to just do it and let the other guy make the mistake. And for that advice, Andre turned everything around and started winning. And for me, that's really important, and I think that's important for most people who watch these reviews and read self-help books, because perfectionism is easy. It's like that episode of Hate Thy Neighbor where they were talking to kind of feminist people and anti-feminists, and there was a lady who wanted to repeal women's suffrage. She wanted to make it so only men could vote because violence was the only truth or something, and she believed that only men should vote. And Jamali rightly points out that some people just set these ridiculous goals, so it gives them something to do. And that's like perfectionism. You set this amazing goal, like I'm going to have a $1 billion company or whatever, and it gives you something to work on and feel like you have a purpose, even if you're never actually making progress or going towards that. And it's easy to do that. It's easy to not actually set realistic goals. It's easy to just want to be perfect and want to be great all the time, but you have to understand that because it's easy, it's bad. Second, overbearing sports parents, academies, prep schools, all of these things are often just conduits for abuse, man. Andre's dad would make him hit 2,500 balls a day from the time he was like 7. Then he goes to this Bottiglieri Academy where they're basically a boot camp where they're making money off of him being great at tennis, but, you know, treating him like he's a prisoner, to some of these coaches that would force him to do stuff. And a lot of this stuff, especially now in light of the Allie Raceman stuff and some of the kind of shows like Friday Night Tykes and that one documentary on the little girl golfers where the dads are just crazy abusive in the guise of coaching and what's best for them, that's not good enough anymore. We got to do better. You can't force your kids to do stuff and abuse them under the guise of some sort of Todd Marinovich style coaching. Doesn't work. More often than not, your kid is not going to make it, and you're just going to make them hate you. So that stuff has got to go. And it was really interesting to see that Steffi Graf's dad was exactly the same and exactly as abusive as Andre's dad. And they even end up fighting like two bulls who are kind of trying to decide who the bigger man is. And my last takeaway is that all individual sports reveal who you are much more than they build you into something. I think team sports, especially things like football, baseball, basketball, hockey, they kind of teach you to sacrifice for the greater good. They kind of teach you to play your role. They kind of teach you that it's not all about you, it's all about team, and to have a kind of more collective consciousness, right? Can't really do that in individual sports. And having spent a decade in MMA gyms and cornered fights and competed myself, I know that fighting reveals who you are. Like, I believe I know Ronda Rousey better than her Hollywood friends or people who just know her through celebrity because I trained at the same gym with her and I sparred with her. When you spar with someone, when you fight someone, it reveals who you are very quickly. You see if the person's a bully. You see if the person can take pressure. You see if the person can take pain. You see if they lose their shit the first time things don't go their way. And tennis is the same thing. And Andre even notes that it's interesting that tennis uses the language of life, rather. Love, advantage, break, all that kind of stuff, because these individual games, and golf as well, really reveal who you are, much more so than team sports. People always talk about team sports as kind of revealing character or whatever, but it's much easier when there's more of you. When it's just you, when the spotlight's only on you, it really reveals what you're made of and who you are as a person. So I highly recommend, in fact, I cannot give a higher recommendation to Open by Andre Agassi. 5 out of 5 stars. Really, if you like tennis, if you're interested in autobiographies, if you're just interested in a good and unique read, then I urge you to pick up Open by Andre Agassi. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video, share it, and I will be back very soon with another video book review for you. Thanks for watching.